could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Peace, love, and salutations to the family out there. Thank you for joining us one more time, for another episode under the Taz Show. Today, we have a special guest coming in, and we are going to be addressing Free Larry Hoover. All right, that's the title of today. We gonna have Rod the God Hayes with us, and he's gonna bring us his perspective. Rod, can you tell the family who you are, where they can find you at, brother?
Well, I've been doing most of my work on Facebook and Instagram. Right now, I got two pages on Instagram, Rod Hayes and Morpheus Mysticus. That's where I'm doing my, putting out the updates on what's going on from reading spirit messages and grabbing the headlines to show you what's going on behind the scenes. So, we're going to do this one for Chicago, this for the culture, for the youth, and to give us a better understanding of what it means when we say in Free Larry Hoover. It's not about one man, it's about principles and values of a collective people all across the land, right? Larry
Absolutely.
Hoover is the spokesman for the indigenous chiefs all across the land. My job is to get the indigenous children all across the land to recognize where the chiefs are at. Once we recognize where the chiefs are at, they have to produce them. They have to come and explain to us what's been going on and why have they been rendered ineffective as caretakers of the community. All right. So we, the indigenous people of the land, we the people, the true we the people, not the artificial construct straw man United States corporation that's now defunct.
Facts.
So from the understanding of what's taking place across the land, all of the tribes band together because there were imposters and invaders on the land that was disrupting the peace and harmony of the people who had the birthright to the land and the blood ties to the land. This is our culture, right? It's from all over. Every tribe sent somebody to fight the Seminole Wars. They came as far away from as the Polynesians to fight in the Seminole Wars. We've been in a perpetual state of war. And those of us that's in prison are actually POWs.
One of
Right?
them being the brother in question right now. Just to add some value while you at it, brother, for those that are not aware of, the brother Rod Hayes is from Chicago. He is rooted in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, on the south side. Correct me if I'm wrong, brother Hayes. But I grew up in Chicago. I'm from the west side on from Humboldt Park area. If you are familiar with the area, with the Chicago area altogether, you understand what I'm saying. Brother Hayes is
Mm.
from the south side. So we're bringing you guys a perspective from both angles of living situations that we had, because when we're going to speak about this man united a lot more than what's being portrayed for him. But please, brother Hayes, continue. My apologies.
And it's good you said that because the unity that was in our community when these guys was on the street was disrupted when they were removed. We got to keep this in mind. We've been in a war. All of us been divided and used against each other to fight each other, so we will never find out What's going on? Who's behind it? Where they at and where they come from, right? The grievance is the same whether you in Brazil, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominica, whether you in Mexico, whether you in Chile, Southern California, New Mexico, Alaska, where the indigenous people have been disenfranchised across the land collectively. How in the hell is we disenfranchised on our own shit? Look, they telling me that somebody stole our land. But when I open my window and look across the field, I still see our land here. Think about that for a minute. Under our original culture that was here, we never had land owners, we had caretakers of the land. The invaders established some shit called home ownership in order to corral the people into communities and stop them from being producers and convert them into consumers.
That's a fact.
Right? So now they had a systematic method to keep us from ever figuring out that nobody in Mexico done shit to me. So why am I supposed to be mad at them for trying to come over here? Make it make sense. Right?
And from that perspective, Brother Hayes, when it comes to the brother Larry Hoover, a prisoner of war, in my opinion, in my layman's opinion, because I'm not a politician, I'm not no lawyer.
That's
I'm
exactly where I'm going with this though.
right.
That he is
That's
he
exactly where we
not
are.
just Larry Hoover. Chief Malik Angel Bay, known as Jeff Ford, he is a prisoner of war, right? They were all targeted under the J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO operation. Over 400 leaders in the community in Chicago had to be neutralized by COINTELPRO. That is war waged on our people. Think about that. That's pure war waged against our people. What does COINTELPRO say? We're going to stop the rise of any potential messiah who could incite the masses. Right? That's their mission statement. So they want to move the leadership because without the leadership, we won't never understand how our people got fractured like this, turned against each other like rabid dogs, lied on, told we was brought over here on some fucking ships, but we was already here. We was already here. Look, we've been here so long, we was already here when we got here.
Say that shit again one more time for the ones that didn't hear in the back.
Say we've been here so goddamn long, we was already here when we got here. Because it wasn't no here until we built this shit. So we had to be here before here was here. Now, somebody come along and tell us a different story than our ancestors and our elders. Who in the fuck am I supposed to believe? Am I supposed to believe the invader that came over here as a squatter on the land of our people? Or am I supposed to believe what our ancestors said? Make it make sense now. Who I'm supposed to listen to?
And every time we get a leader that actually brings together the people, it seems like they end up as a prisoner of war.
Right, because you can't have a leader.
Right.
Right. So and then look, they give us an artificial idea of what a leader's supposed to look like, squeaky clean. If a man never made a mistake, something is fucking wrong. If a man never made a mistake, he don't know how to fuck up. That means he ain't never took no chances in his life. He played everything safe. A go along to get along ass motherfucker.
Mhm.
But it comes down to a point where we can take care of ourselves, me and you. We can function in this system, but we not of this system, right? So we can go out and get money when we want to, build whatever kind of life we want to, but it's not helping our people. Because it's not helping our people, now we feel some type of way. I can't be content having the good life and the rest of my people struggling. That don't make sense to me. So it got to be some kind of way to get our people back to the condition they were before the invaders came. We didn't know poverty. We didn't know skin-based racism. We didn't know that we wasn't allowed to have different beliefs and still be able to be brothers in truth, right? Because we tell our legends according to our family history a little bit different in the oral history, right? So now what I do now is put it all back together. Go back to the beginning. Reverse engineer this tyranny, right? Then you shine a mirror on the motherfuckers that's squatting on the land and compare that to who the people on the land is picking for leaders. Because we don't go by elections in our communities. We got our own way of picking the leadership in our communities. We don't just listen to anybody. We not wired that way. You got to be on our frequency. You got to understand our struggles and our pain. Right? So if you can't do that, you can't negate any of the struggles that we've been going through. This has been war. It's been going on over 500 years at least since 1492. Right? So the invaders came over. We got end up in some kind of fucking conjure war. Blood rituals and blood rites used to keep us subjugated. Right? So we follow through and honor all of the agreements, but they don't honor none. That give us the superior contract right under the law of right. Just because we right, that put us in what you call the superior position.
Go ahead, brother.
Yep. So we looking at now changing the GD of Gangster Disciple to Growth and Development. Hoover's move to reform began gaining positive attention from the outside, and this is why they went back to get Hoover out of the state system, because he was able to communicate sufficiently enough. He couldn't stop the drugs from coming in the community, but he can control how they were affecting the community as best he could. He ain't on the street. He haven't been on the street since he was a teenager. He was a young guy when he got locked up. So how in the fuck can you put all this shit off on him when you doing the shit that you accusing him of doing? That's how the fuck you supposed to be catching him. You putting it in the community, and when he try to do something about it, then you charge him with it. It's the same with Jeff. They said he was trying to commit acts of terrorism for trying to get these imposters off the land. Right? So we had to figure out a new strategy and a new way. So now we got to get the people to understand that the land has been returned to us. Pull up Indigenous uh, Rights Act, U.S. Indigenous Rights Act, 2017, I think is the year.
Okay. There we go.
Indigenous people have right. This indigenous American Declaration of Indigenous Peoples, the rights of indigenous peoples, in here is when they gave us all of the power back to restore the land back to its previous form before they came over here. This the document. If you click on the PDF, it's like 20 something pages. Then we need to see what it looked like. That's it there. So we have to use our system of oral communication to the people by public announcement, by public notice, to let the people know it's time to reclaim the land and to restore it back to its original um, condition before the corporation spoiled the lands, chopped down all the trees. When you read through there, you understand that they know they don't have any jurisdiction. That's the full recognition of the corporation to cede the government back to the people. But the people have to be cognizant enough and politically aware enough to stand up for their own self, just for what's yours. Not no extra shit, just your shit, right? So this is what the Free Larry Hoover movement is about. This is not just a one man get free, get out of jail free ticket. That ain't what we looking at. We looking at a political prisoner held hostage,
Right.
along with other political prisoners, you know.
Right.
So they've
Now,
been
uh, one of the things that we could look into with Larry Hoover, and remember, family, we're not speaking in regards to anything that was detrimental to the community or whatever. We understand that there is a certain perspective that you have been imprinted into your brain through the false history.
media saturation is what it's called.
Right. So they've been brainwashing us for a while about this whole situation. But one of the main aspects that we find within this gentleman Larry Hoover is that the creation that they realized that he had created something that was unifying way too many people. They knew the power that this man had. So when he did that and he changed the name from where are we at? Where are we at? Well, I already changed it, but where he changed the name from Gangster Disciples, you know, to Growth and Development, and
Look,
he had already the power of what it was known as the Folk Nation, which was an alliance of so-called street gangs originating in Chicago, established in 1978. The alliance has since spread through the United States, particularly in the Midwest region of the United States. Now, what this did was that it created an idea for alliance and persuaded many leaders of large black, white, and Latino gangs. All right, this man
mm-hmm.
had done what everybody that I've noticed had attempted to put together, but they couldn't. This man had put it together, and when they realized the power that this man had to put together this type of unity and alliance between a certain classification of people. It was when he changed the name to Growth and Development. They knew that he was making a political statement, and he was going to become a force to be reckoned with within the political realm. But please, brother Hayes, continue.
Let's examine that because you're right on point. The political statement that he was making. In order for him to make these alliances, he have to have a lot of respect on the land because these alliances, like um, him and Jeff Ford, people don't know they love each other. They like brothers.
Yeah.
But down here in the grassroots, where the enemy came in and turned our kids against each other when we wasn't watching, because our leaders was locked up. You see, when you a teenager, you want to show that bravado, right? You want to show that testosterone burst. You want to be gangster with it, right? This is the mentality that they were under as teenagers. You got to remember, these gangs didn't start with 30, 40-year-old adults. This started with 12, 14, 15-year-old kids. And the kids learned how to organize from watching the Panthers, the Nation of Islam, the SNCC. They watching these other groups, but they in the street. They are the ones that's the cast outs.
Right.
You
But
know,
to be thorough with it, and to make sure that we don't miss no angles, these groups, these gangster disciples, these other gangs that we find within the Chicago area, whether it was, from the folk nation that we know of,
mm-hmm.
we had the gangster disciples, the black disciples, you had the maniac Latin disciples, you had the imperial gangsters. There was a lot of the community that had come together. Now,
Okay,
mind
so
you that these
remember how it starts. It starts with a bunch of kids. At first, they rivals, and then they understand something from watching their elders. Then they start making alliances.
right.
Now they exercise in leadership at an early age, right? COINTELPRO said they were going to stop the rise of any potential messiah that could incite the masses, which was all out warfare declared on our communities. Because if one of us could ever figure out that the great deception was that the white man ain't white, right? He came over as a black conquistador, a blackamoor, right? So when you look in the Washington Masonic Memorial, you see all they fezzes up there. These are the ones who brokered the deals. That's why they fezzes is in there. It's not hard to find the guilty culprit because all you got to do is know what they done, how they operate, they MO, right? How did they come over here? Why did they give us this false bullshit history? What
And
did they do when they first came?
it was that very arrival of these people that created these groups, because it was a result of what was already going on. We the colored community in general was go in the Chicago area went through a period in which we had these social groups that white folks were hanging out in, with getting together, but they were more mafia style groups, and that's the reason what created this other groups, because these groups of white folks were coming to the hoods, whether it be, in a brown community or a black community, and they
Well,
were
well, actually, this is what made King David learn how to go legit, how to start little small businesses and to support the mom and pop businesses in the community. Because while they had a Jewish store in the community, they was getting extorted by Italian mafia. So they gave the keys to to David Barksdale. He became the protectorate of the Jewish community from the Italian mafia. So now the mafia want to make a deal with him because they understood that these soldiers is not what you think they are, and they don't operate like you think they do. Right? So once they start going up against us in New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia, DC, Miami, we never stopped fighting the war. They just clouded the waters so we couldn't see who we was fighting against. So we were settling on one or two fronts of the fight while the whole other fight was going on behind our back in our face. So when you get the people to understand that these people, Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, Tukey, Mumia, um, uh, Imam Abu Jamal, all these guys was fighting for us to be able to just be left the fuck alone in peace. But there was somebody that didn't want that to happen.
Go ahead, brother.
Right?
Go
It
ahead.
was it was somebody that didn't want that to happen. And they got it on paper. It's not a secret. That's why it's such a big secret. It's not a secret. You could pull up COINTELPRO, you could pull up um Rex 8084, the Lord Alfred plan. You could pull that shit up. It's not hard to find, it's not a secret. And that's what the secret is they telling you what they doing to you while they doing it. You just got to be develop the wisdom enough to see through their bullshit, right? And the first one of us figure it out is our obligation to tell the rest of the clans. So I'm telling the rest of the clans. I figured it out.
Right. Now, when we're looking at Rex 84, like you had mentioned, it says Rex
Hmm.
84, short for Readiness Exercise 1984, and was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States federal government to detain large number of United States citizens deemed to be national security threats in the event that the president declared a national emergency. All right.
Stop. We've been under national emergency ever since 1776. We've been under martial law ever since 1776. So every time they say this, it's automatically activated. Where they say national emergency, it automatically ties in to the artificial corporation and it's already activated when it goes into written format. This was developed by Oliver North, by the way. Oliver North was part of the Iran-Contra, right? And he the one spilled all the beans. Yep. Those two pictures in the middle of him testifying at the Senate hearings and the Iraqi guns for drugs trade. The shit they was doing is what they locked Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover up for. They was doing it, but they accused our leaders of doing it and labeled them villains by calling them gangbangers. This man right here kept a whole lot of brothers alive while he was on the street. And as soon as he got off the street, a whole lot of people died under his name because of the divide and conquer mechanism of the enemy, Jeff and Larry. So it's gonna boil down to who do you trust in your community, the motherfuckers from the community or the motherfucker that don't even live nowhere near your community telling you how to run it. So when you have that teenage bravado, you name yourself gangster. But once you start to mature as an adult and become a man, you understand that it's now time to transcend gangster. And that's called growth. And to understand the process of growth causes a new development in character. So there is your growth and development. Your transition from gangster disciple, teenage bad boy to a grown ass man that understand what's going on in his community with his people. That's the political statement of the century.
And that in it within itself, brother, it was a big change within the city altogether. From the standpoint of what was going on, because like I said, these groups were created to come to the aid of the neighborhoods that were being attacked by this other mafia style groups, because we all know the first gangbangers were the mafias, the Al Capones of Chicago or whatever. And it
The
was
gangbanger is a misnomer.
it's a mis
See, we got to understand who called us gangs, who labeled us as gangs, and when did they label us as gangs? See, they give us the illusion, right, that the tribes are gangs and gangs are criminal mobs. Look up the word gang, see what it is.
definition, or you want to
Yeah, definition, etymology, however you want to look it up.
let's look at the enema. Germanic gang. The original meaning was going a journey, later a way. Let's see what online etymon is talking about. And it says from Old English gang, a going, journey, way, passage. An Old Norse gang, a group of men, a set, both from Photo Germanic gangas, also source also of Old Saxon, Old Frisian, Danish, Dutch, Old German, German gang, Old Norse, act of going, of uncertain origin, perhaps from the Pi root to step. Shang, lieutenant, not considered to related to go. Then the sense of evolution is probably via meaning, a set of articles that usually are taken together and going specially as a set of tools used for the same job. Gang, related to ganging, to gangway. So it appears to have like a journey, like a passage.
Right. The general meaning of a gang is a group with common interests. So when you join together around a belief system, you form what they call a gang.
A company of workmen.
Hmm. That was in the culture when the elders would organize the community. They would get the guys together to do the labor of the community. They turned it into something else, just
Facts.
like they turned the Panthers into something else.
Right.
They infiltrated, and they look like us, but they ain't us.
So where do we stand from this standpoint, Brother Hayes? Do you believe that this is something that we're actually gonna get to see with this brother? Because when this brother was out, it didn't matter if you were in a black neighborhood, if you were in a so-called Latino neighborhood. it didn't matter where you was at. You had a set of rules and a creed that you had to follow.
Yep.
Within the 360 degrees of knowledge that the 6 point star brought to you, then you were able to acquire certain skills from different wisdom that you were acquiring, but it was actually very beneficiary to the people within these communities, the child the young children that found themselves in many times for X reason without a father, or without a mother for whatever reason, because this wasn't something within the area of Chicago. It wasn't something that just happened to one sex. It's something that affected both men and women within the area. It was very, very
Listen,
notorious at one time.
what happened to us was by design.
Oh
It
yeah, most
wasn't an accident. Our living conditions was by design. Our miseducation is by design. They have this shit on paper. They told you they did it. It's not a secret no more. This age of Aquarius, this is the age of knowing. Everybody had to confess they dirt in the end, and they kept meticulous records of how they fucked over people. Like the guy that wrote the manual on how many jackoffs it take to get a baby off, right? Who the fuck counted that shit? How many motherfuckers was involved, right? How many times of anal penetration do you need to convert his sexuality? All that shit is in his book. How the fuck you know all this shit? They telling you what they doing. They experimenting on the kids. Cause they using the sexual trauma to keep them from ever waking up to their higher consciousness of self. The trauma keep them locked in that apathetic state where they won't break free. Then they miseducate them, right? Once they miseducate them, they can tell them you came over here on a boat. Show me one.
Hmm. Well,
Show me one.
when you do the math all together, it doesn't add up with the amount of slaves that and to make it
Look,
very clear to the people. I am in no shape or form saying that there was no slavery or no transportation of slaves from Africa here. What I am stating is the exaggeration of the fact that all the colored people that are within the Americas all came from over there in Africa. It's
retarded.
I didn't want to use that
Fuck.
words
That's
of
hey, look. That's the most preposterous shit a motherfucker could believe.
yeah.
Because the story fall apart when you just look at how they tell it, right? They say they got these motherfuckers packed in the hulls of these ships like sardines, chained to the motherfucking post because they might rebel and try to break her loose on the sea. So now you got hundreds of motherfuckers in the hull of a ship shitting and pissing. That's gonna be a gas chamber in less than a week.
Yeah,
There's nobody gonna survive that. It's
but
not possible.
doing the numbers, you just the amount of people that were transported, the amount of ships that were available during that time. The United States Navy today is the biggest naval assembly of ships in the history of humankind. Let me repeat that. The United States Navy today is the biggest naval ships navy
Big
that has been put together in the history of humankind, and they today could not accomplish the transportation of the amount of people that they claim were brought here in the amount of time that they said that it happened. The and the fleet that they had back in those days, whoever it was, whether it was the Portuguese or it was the Spaniards or it was the people from the English. It doesn't matter which one it was. All of them combined didn't have enough ships to transport the amount of people that they portrayed that did. But you know that I mean that is up to a debate.
Now the question is this. Now we're looking at it from a military perspective. Why would somebody tell that fantastic story, and what was the aim and objective? What would it accomplish?
because we have a total of 12.5 million Africans that were supposedly, and that was just off a regular Google search. I'm not stating that is the actual number. But it says only a tiny percentage of the 12.5 million African ships shipped to the New World landed in North America. All right. So they're saying only 12.5 landed on North America, meaning either the United States or Canada or anywhere else that they went in between them, in between there. There is that is not counting the people that were sent to what's today known as Latin America, which would be South America and Central America. So the number is a whole lot bigger than the 12.5 that I originally meant 12.5 million. So that's just in the United States alone or North America. That's a whole lot of people, brother. And
That's some bullshit.
And slavery, we know it was 400 years, but an exact time frame, I don't want to just make up a date. They want to follow everything. That of 1620. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and read the whole thing, but I guess 1619. The first captives were forced on the Virginia shores by Dutchmen in 1619. So the first so it all supposedly allegedly started in 1619. Yeah, 1619, 1620, and it went on all the way to the late 1800s, 1900s. There was still, I don't know if there were still by the 1960 21 states, or most of the South has still had those laws in place. Yeah, there was even into the 1900s. But that's the story presented to us. What say
Mm.
ye, Brother Hayes?
That's the manufactured history they gave us because they thought that we would continue to believe that bullshit.
And African American was a term that was just coined by what's his name? Was it Jesse Jackson?
In 1980s.
Yeah, because they've changed the names of everything. Like it was blacks, Negroes, colored, and so on and so forth. And when you look at the people within Latin America, you have right now you have Hispanics. Then before that we were Latinos. Before that we were mulattoes, or I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So it's been shown that they like to mess with people's minds.
How else do you keep a conquered people conquered? You make them believe that you in the right. As long as they got us thinking they in the right, we following their system without question. Soon as we question their system, they want to silence us. The corporation's been dismantled. DC not even on the map no more. When you Google it now, it just comes up as Washington. The shit a wrap. Corporation went belly up. The doors closed on the corporation. The gig is up on the fraud. The only problem is the people was watching a dog and pony show play out with CGI characters and lookalikes and cartoon characters.
The Empress I Am Wisdom Face said, actually, W.D. Muhammad, son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, first created African American. Jesse borrowed it from him and took credit for it. Teach, sister. I mean, keep me honest. Make sure you keep me honest. Uh, um, from
Maybe little tidbits like that come up, make you go look up something when you inquisitive.
right, most definitely.
Mm-hmm. They call that flipping the sign.
Most definitely. Did you wanted to add something else, Brother Hayes?
Yeah, we got to get to the point as a people where we understand who we are and come together and stand with our leadership. Because if you don't stand up for your leaders, then you're going to stay fractured. And the people that don't have leadership can be led anywhere. This is what the whole movement is about. We got political prisoners. We got people living in exile because they couldn't find peace at home that want to come home and live in peace. All this is tied to the movement of Free Larry Hoover because it's about us reclaiming our destiny and taking our future in our own hands as a collective, but each individual taking responsibility for his own self. We can either stand up and stand against the machine or bow down and be a servant. I'm not bowing down.
Right.
So,
And the movement was even so deep that even during the Trump presidency, who was it that approached
Kanye,
Kanye? Kanye approached them. Let's see. Kanye was approached Trump to free Larry Hoover. Here we go. This is a good one. So we do have. Why is this covering the doggone? Kanye West asked Donald Trump to pardon Larry Hoover because he's not coming out.
the fuck he ain't.
No, no, no. I'm not saying he ain't. I'm saying statistically speaking, with the life sentences that they gave him, there is no way out for him. So the only way that he has left now, within the system, is either if we break him out in a revolt and we get him out, or he receives a so-called pardon from a president.
He can't get a pardon from a president because all that shit is a dog and pony show, is what I'm telling you. Ain't no president no more. That shit over. It's up to us is on the land, the chiefs of the land, right? Now we got to get the people to understand the chiefs reclaiming the land so they to understand the move that's being made to produce Larry Hoover. It ain't about Larry Hoover. It's about the indigenous people of the land reclaiming their shit. He just a battle cry because he a poster child for injustice. What's that you pulling up?
This was the article that the article one just an article that was speaking in regards about Kanye West plea to the president, which made headlines because he was publicly addressing it that he was going to ask the president for that specific request because he did Trump, I can't recall exactly how many he did, but he did uh, release or pardon a substantial amount of people before he left. Now, was anybody, worth it? No, but he did do the whole pardon thing a whole lot more than it was presented. Actually, who did he pardon who did Trump pardon before leaving office? The advisor Paul Roger, Michael Flynn, Joe Papadama, many of Trump's federal agents. There was a specific person that but I can't recall that he called himself appeasing the black community by releasing him, but it was nobody, in comparison to the caliber of Larry Hoover. But with that said, it's the agenda that has to make sure that he stay in there. Like the brother was saying, it's either we step up or we're gonna continue to be in the position that we're in. Do you have any closing statements, brother?
Yeah, man, we gotta understand as a people. If we don't wake up now, we gonna continue. We not gonna continue to suffer. Those who gonna suffer gonna end up losing their life because
Unfortunately,
they're not gonna be able to see what's in front of them, and they're gonna be running into harm's way out of ignorance. If we don't understand that our country was taken over by foreign invaders, then we can't never understand taking it back, right? So when we understand that the people they took out of the community, they was doing the shit they was accusing them of doing, right? They was using mirror magic. All the dirt the government was doing, they was accusing guys like Larry and Jeff of doing. So it come to a point where we have to draw the line. They don't belong here to begin with. Their system was a fraud from beginning to end. That's why they could never honor a treaty. Because they never honored the treaty, they give us all that shit back. But we have to be willing to stand up for it. Power sees nothing without a demand, right? So we put the writ of habeas corpus in the public domain on public notice for whoever got Larry to produce them, right? And the more people sign on to the Habe, the more actionable it becomes.
Bill 16.
So the inmates was running the motherfucking country. The enemy was running the country and had us believing that they belonged here running the country. Every election was fixed, right? Trump signed a a bill, anti-counterfeiting bill that shut down the Federal Reserve. 2018. We ain't paying attention. We not paying attention.
Most
How
definitely.
come Biden don't got the atomic football if he the president? Why is it still with Trump? That shit over with. That dog and pony show is over with. We just trying to get the people to wake up and take their destiny in their own hands. Because the only way to keep a tyrant from ruling is to spread the power out among the people. And the only way to spread the power out among the people is the people have to stand together.
Those are facts.
That way, no one motherfucker can rule everything. You know, you put the power where it go and things run the way they supposed to.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. With that said,
So
brother, it's a way deeper. We're I think we're just touching the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this subject. When we're speaking about Larry Hoover, himself. There's so much more that could be brought up, and it's greatly
yeah, I could talk about Larry for endlessly. You know, that's the chief of my clan. So,
most
you
definitely.
know, but I could talk about Jeff equally. Because when you got a passion for the people, somebody got to have a passion for the people that got a passion for the people.
Yeah.
If who gonna speak for the voiceless? Who gonna speak to the power structure that's wrong? Who gonna stand up to the enemy? Right? Who gonna stop these motherfuckers from raping the babies? Who gonna stop them from kidnapping the women, selling them into sex slavery? Who gonna stop them from harnessing adrenochrome? If we don't never step up, they're gonna continue to keep feeding off of us. And the only thing feeding off is the parasites that don't belong here. So the only way we gonna ever have anything of our own is to take our shit back. And we don't have to tear nothing up. All we gotta do is stand up and speak up. That's it. Stand up and speak up. Free Larry Hoover.
Most definitely, most definitely. With
You
that
know?
said, it's a pleasure. Definitely, we got to do this a whole lot more often. I wanna ask the family. We've been having somewhere between 60 and 70 people watching throughout the whole process of the show. We appreciate you. We would like to entice you to like, share, subscribe. If you haven't, if this is your first time on the Tasha, we appreciate you coming over here. Putting your 2 cents in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit that bell to make sure that you get all those notifications. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. We have a lot of shows coming up, so make sure that you stay tuned. One of the main ones that we have within the next probably like week or so is gonna be the under the subjects the Orishas explained. All right, so be sure to tune in, brother Calico, the sister Yasini, and myself, the Tasho. We're gonna make it happen, and who knows, we might even have brother Hayes in the mix to put his 2 cents in. Make sure that you check me out on Facebook under Tasmaniac Wolf. You find me under the Tasho and everything else, whether it be Instagram, on Twitter. You find me under the Tasho. My Facebook is the one that is under Tasmaniac Wolf. So make sure that you do sign up. But like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Give us a like or leave us a comment if you're watching on a later on a later at a later time, and we'll go from there. You could also check out my Trio Deals page that we are trying to build, and it's the sister Yasini, brother Calico, and myself that are bringing that trio, that triple energy, under trio deals. And now, just stay tuned for it, because we're gonna be dropping a lot of content, within that channel. But be sure that you check us out over there as well. Brother Hayes, it's been a pleasure. Can you
Appreciate you having me, Ty.
before we leave, can you please tell the family where they could find you? If I'm not mistaken, right now they have you under solitary confinement on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm in Facebook jail,
They
but
got
you
you.
can still look on my page and I get a lot of content
All right,
because
all right,
I got a lot of videos on there. Same
right.
with my Instagram, Rod Hayes. I got a lot of content on there too, and on my Morpheus page, Morpheus Mysticus. The link is on the top of the Rod Hayes page.
Well, we definitely appreciate you. It's always an honor to have you here with us, brother. Any last words before we leave?
Free Larry Hoover.
Free
Ain't
Larry.
nothing else need to be said.
With that said, thank you so much. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we're gonna leave you the same way that we came to you. In peace.
Peace.
You so bad.